Hello, everyone. It's Yvonne, and thank you so much for joining us today on this lovely Tuesday afternoon and morning for some of you all. Darroch and Michael Putnam of Putnam and Putnam are my very special guests today. They have collaborated on projects ranging from events with Dior to installations for Beyonce and have been featured in countless magazines. You guys, I'm sure, know who they are. I'm super, super excited, a little bit nervous if I'm honest. But today they are here to share about their second book, Flower Color Theory. I have it sitting right next to me. Love it. And this book is a follow-up to their Flower Color Guide. You guys all know about this book, right? Their new book features 175 different arrangements. It is really amazing. So I'm really excited to learn more about it and share it with you guys. So we're going to talk about the book, and then afterwards, as time allows, we will definitely answer your flower questions. Super, super excited. So while we're getting started, please say hello. Let us know where you are from. I love seeing last week we had people from all over the world, hoping to repeat that today as well. And then also I wanted to make sure, a little reminder, I love when you guys participate right in the shows because it really makes it very special. But today I will be picking my favorite participants, just depending on questions and how you're corresponding with everyone. And I am going to be giving away a few free copies of Flower Color Theory. I just have a bunch of them land at our Riverside branch, and they are ready to go to their sweet new homes. So we will be doing that today. I'll be DMing everyone. So after the show, give me a little bit of time too. By the end of the day / tomorrow morning, I'll be DMing our people that we selected. Sound fun? Yay, Michelle. I know. So fun. Hi, Happy Stems in Houston. We have Heather in Raleigh. Welcome, guys. Keep it coming. And while we're waiting and getting started, please share this with all your flower friends. That would be lovely. And I'm going to, while I'm thinking about it, just check Instagram and make sure that we're live on there because, just want to double check and make sure we're all good since it's a little bit different. And I see that we are live, so we are good to go. All right, so reminder, guys, if you're just joining, make sure you post your comments, questions, anything in the comments section. Facebook, I'll be able to see a little bit easier in YouTube, but I will be checking Instagram too, and taking some screenshots as that comes along. That's a reminder for myself that I need to do that because it's not Instagram, is its own little beast here. So, all right. And then also just a little friendly reminder, if you guys want to be in the know of what's going on, any news, events, that type of thing, when I post or show notes and blogs and all that fun stuff, go ahead and just subscribe to our newsletter. And with that, we are going to get started. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited about today's show. I'm so excited to talk about your new flower book because I was able to go through that, and it's so amazing and beautiful and useful. So I'm excited for you guys to kind of share all of that information once we get to it. But before we dive into the book and questions and all that fun stuff, can you guys just introduce yourselves a little bit for anyone who may not know who the Putnams are, and a little bit about your flower story?
Yeah. Yes. Well, first, just to start out, we are not brothers. we went to the dentist yesterday, and they're like, the brothers are here. I was like, we've been married for 10 years.
Yes. You guys have been married for a while and have been working together, I think, for half of that, right?
Yes. Yeah. My name is Darroch.
And I'm Mikey.
And right now we are at our home in West Hollywood, California. So we are a bi-coastal operation. So we have a warehouse in Brooklyn that we produce our big weddings out of there. And during COVID, we decided to move our home to Los Angeles. So that's where we're coming from today.
Yeah.
Wow, you're in LA. That's like where we're based out of. So that's awesome.
Yes, and we're big fans of Mayesh. You probably see me there often.
Yeah, we shopped in Houston, San Francisco, LA, so Mayesh everywhere.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for your support. And again, thank you for coming on to the show. Like I said, this book is amazing. So let's get into that. What inspired you to take on creating and publishing Flower Color Theory?
Yeah. Well,
okay, so I think it's like a domino effect. So right when we started flowers, so we actually started our floral company kind of as like an offshoot on Instagram. So I was working as a photographer. Mikey was in interior design and was really just kind of stuck behind a desk most days. It was pretty stale.
I need to use my hands to be happy. So
yeah.
It sort of started as a hobby.
Yeah, and so he actually started kind of picking up flowers just on the weekends, like at the farmer's market. And, you know, we took a first trip to the New York flower market just to get some stuff. He made a beautiful arrangement. We shot it. I shot it in our apartment. We put it on social media, and kind of immediately people were just kind of seeing that you were doing something different.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of social media, right? Is that it sort of just becomes a portfolio that's accessible to everyone, which is really fun.
But what's really interesting is when we started first doing flowers, there really wasn't an amazing resource of just like, because like when we were going to the flower market at first, I didn't know what a single flower name was at all. And
Right.
like, it was weird because when we were starting getting wedding inquiries, we're like, we don't have no idea what time of year certain things are available. So the idea for Flower Color Guide came really quickly when we started working. And we were actually shooting the flowers on white just for our own reference. So we were kind of making our own little reference guide.
Our own little encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Right.
And also that we could put into proposals, and just having that clean imagery of flowers, it was really hard to find something like that.
Yes.
So that was book one. And then book two, I think, is really kind of about the Putnam philosophy. And we approach everything color first. So when we meet with clients, or even if we do a special arrangement for like a dinner party or something, the first question we ask is, okay, does this person love, like, what are their favorite colors? What is their interior design look like at their home? Like, what kind of color schemes they're into? We think that a lot of people don't know specifics about flowers, but they definitely know what colors they like and don't like.
Yeah, and I think another thing too, we try to be really adventurous with color, and we know that it's really hard for people to break out of that mold. So we wanted to create a reference for that, so people could be a little bit more adventurous and take risks with color.
Yeah, and that's why the book, so one of my favorite things about the book is this color bar here on the left-hand side. So every arrangement that we did, we have this kind of like Pantone color swatch here, and it pulls all the different colors out. And then at the end of the book, it's like, there's these perforated cutouts.
Almost like paint swatches.
Paint swatches, for sure. And I think that, like, again, when we first started working in this industry, like 7 years ago, and we started doing weddings, it was like, my God, white, green, maybe a touch of blush if you were adventurous.
Or peach.
And I was like, we need to get a little more creative here. So I think throughout like years of us working, we think that like wedding colors have gotten more adventurous, mostly because we're pitching them to people. But this is kind of a entrance for people to, break outside of their like basic color mode and just really explore and play with color.
Yeah.
I love it. Real quick, Mikey, can I have you scoot a little closer to Darroch? Because then we'll be able to see more of you on Instagram Live. Right now I see like
you're on the
half of you.
format, so we'll get a little more square.
Is that better?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay, but that should be good. Hold on, give me a couple seconds. And we'll go there. Yes, much better. Yay, now we can see both of your beautiful faces. Okay, good. So yes, the concept of the book is amazing. And here, let me just switch over to me real quick. Because I have the book right here, like, and I can put it super close. So here's like one of the designs. Here's the color on the side, right? And then they were talking about the color chips on the back. So they have like the designs on the back of the color chips and the page number, and all their different kind of tips for that. And then the color chips on the other side. So really such an amazing concept. So cool.
Yeah. Another thing that we wanted to focus on with this book is that we wanted to cover all different aesthetics of design. So some things are a little tighter and contrived. Most of it's really organic and more our style. But then there's some more contemporary, simple arrangements and a lot of color blocking. We wanted anybody to be able to look at this and find something that they resonated with. And also, I think it also makes it a little more timeless. So it's not just one specific thing that might get dated.
Yeah, and what's so interesting is when we were shooting the book, so like, okay, so we shot, I think there's 175 arrangements, but we shot over 200 for the book. I think when we were about at arrangement 20, we looked at each other and we're like, what do we do now? So we actually started going to different museums around New York and looking at paintings, whether it was
around the world, just traveling,
yeah, whether it was like modern art, old Dutch stillmaster art, and just seeing how the greatest artists, used color, blended color, blocked color, and we got a lot of inspiration from that.
Yeah, even just travel, right? When you look at a city from far away, like these beautiful cities in India or other places, you see how the buildings are blocked out in color, or parts of Italy.
Right.
Just that inspiration for color, that's what really opened us up to so many different palettes.
That's amazing. Yeah, I can imagine that it was, yeah, you get to, like you said, number 20 and you're like, okay, what do we do now? It's going to look the same. And we even, we struggle with that with our designers when we're, planning out 12 design videos. We don't want it to feel like the same thing over and over again. So that's definitely something I feel like artists can struggle with. And so you guys did just a beautiful job. I hope you guys get this book or win it, like I said, participate, and we're going to send some books out.
It's a giveaway. I love that. I love the giveaway.
Yes. So fun. Okay. So you mentioned the process and you traveling, you took the 20 and then you did some more. How long did it actually take you guys to create all the content for the book? Like, what was that process like?
1 year.
It takes about a year.
It takes a year to shoot. It took a year to shoot the first book. It took a year to shoot this book. This book was a little challenging because we actually finished it literally as COVID was starting. I think a few arrangements we even shot after.
Yeah.
So it was a really weird time, so literally as our wedding business and our events business was shutting its doors for the year, we were just kind of finishing this book. So it takes about a year to shoot. And then it takes about 8 months for the publisher to kind of patch, get all the design together, patch it all together. So it's about a 2-year process for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So
there's also a lot of trial and error. I might make an arrangement and be like, this is too similar to something else. So they completely pull it apart and remake it.
Right.
A lot of that too, just to make sure that there was difference in everything in the book.
How did you guys even keep track of all that? Did you have when you made an arrangement, you're like, okay, this is going to be in the book with this color palette. You just slap it up on a wall so that way you have a visual of what that looks like. How do you even remember 175 arrangements? That's what I want to know.
Huge wall at our huge white wall at our warehouse. It's exactly what you said. You can see a photo of this on Instagram. Maybe we can repost it later today. But we literally slapped the photo on the wall and we tried to gray date it via a rainbow on the wall. So we could really see, okay, we need more blues, we need more purples, whatever. But by the end, we had almost covered this whole wall.
Basically a rainbow.
There was
wow.
Huge wall too. And then that also allowed us to be able to be like, let's shoot more because I want to take a few of these out. So we knew where those holes were going to be as we were making.
Yeah. Very good. That's so, I love it. Yeah, I want to see the picture. I'm really bad with keeping up with social media. So I missed that picture, but I want to see it because it's, and people are saying that whole process is interesting. People are commenting about that.
We'll tag Mayesh so you can see it easily.
Yeah. Love it. So of the 175 that made it into the book, do you guys have a couple of favorites that you want to share with everyone?
My favorite's the one on the cover.
Yeah, I think the cover might be my favorite.
This is when we shot this, so there was we usually would actually shoot around 5 arrangements every time we did it, which was really challenging because when we had to go to the market, so we would try and shoot similar colorways in one day. So we're not buying too many different color palettes. So we were shooting for the cover. It was the cover day. And just as soon as we started building it, we knew we wanted it to be kind of primary colors, I think it was like one of the most exciting days of us shooting in the studio.
I mean, primary colors are really hard to work with. So you have to be very careful about how you.
What are primary colors? Just to get you
yeah, red, yellow, blue, right?
Right.
And it's a hard palette to work with, and it can be really jarring, or it could look very like early '90s, you know. It's nice to find those little subtle differences in color that kind of pull it all together in a way that's not jarring. It sort of becomes a seamless transition.
Yes, and that actually, you just answered one of the questions that came through on Instagram Live. They said, are there any color palettes you find more challenging to work with? So obviously primary colors. Are there any other ones that you guys can think of that might be tough?
I think so what's really interesting is when we meet with clients, a lot of the times they don't know their favorite colors. They know which colors they don't like. We love working with colors that people don't like. Obviously not for, but a lot of people are really afraid of like red. They think there's so much association with red, whether it's holidays like Christmas or Valentine's Day.
Association is a huge thing in this industry.
Right.
And trying to break down those borders, or break down those walls of association, you know? Christmas is a big one, Valentine's Day, Easter. A lot of people are like, oh my God. Like,
so it's like taking those colors that you typically associate with those things and then using them in a different way to create something really chic and beautiful. That's a good one.
Okay, yeah. So you might want to pull them up on your screen because it's hard.
You have to pick one favorite.
Yeah. Okay. Page 360 and 361.
360. I'm getting there right now.
This is one of the first images we shot, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
it's beautiful.
It's cool because a lot of people wouldn't really think for flowers to put hot pink or coral with black and these dark sort of aubergine and plums. But if you do it in a way that's really color blocked, right? There's this sort of streak, this contemporary streak of color in the middle. It just makes it interesting. One thing that I like to do is sort of squint at an arrangement and see how that color is blocked out. And then I think to myself, would I want this on my wall as like an art piece? And that sort of guides me in how I'm creating these compositions and using color.
It's beautiful. So in the book, right, you guys have a format that you have for each page. You want to talk a little bit about that? Like the little bits of text that you have on the pages.
Yeah. So on each page, we sort of talk about how we use it. So there are different ways. Like this arrangement here, I don't know if you want to pull it up, 147. It's monochromatic, right? It's all greens. But we're showing, when we're saying that, and there's a little blurb in the front on how we break down those categories, you can see that flowers come in a wide range of colors. Even if it's green, there's still so much color in it. So monochromatic in flowers and foliage is different than monochromatic in paint.
Yeah, I mean, on this monochromatic arrangement, literally you can see all these different hues of greens on the side. So even though it is monochrome, there's still quite a variety of different colors in there.
Yeah, so we talk about the category of that. We list out the flowers that are in it, all the flowers that are in this arrangement. And then there's just a little blurb on maybe the composition or a little like our thought process throughout it, just a tip on how to achieve an arrangement like this. And that's for every single page.
And to one step further on that, so we created in the back of the book as another helpful reference. So this is what I like to call Mikey's Dictionary of Flower Terms, which is pretty fun. Oh no, the glossary. So through doing flowers, over the last 7 years, Mikey has kind of come up with these terms that he just uses all the time. And they're like his phrases of like explaining what they are. So there's a ethereal, gestural, minimalist, all kinds of things. So if they reference words that they're talking about there, there's a glossary in the back that has all that information.
Very good. I love it. Someone's asking, Ashley Macara Floral, squinting is a staple in my formal training in art school. Is that in the book?
We reference it.
That's crazy because literally when we were getting inspiration, like at art museums for different color palettes, we would look at like famous paintings and do this, like squint our eyes a little bit because it really kind of like cancels out the noise and you just kind of get the general concept.
You just get composition. When you squint and all those little lines and all that information is gone, you're literally just getting a color blocked out composition. And yeah, that's what we would do. We'd go to the Guggenheim, right? We'd look at Kandinsky paintings and squint and just see how he used color and how he blocked it out and how we could sort of channel that into an arrangement.
So fun. I had no idea about squinting as I'm a marketing person, not an artist. So that was very interesting. I love it. All right, guys, we're going to have to start squinting now at everything that we do.
It doesn't 4 flowers, you can do with anything.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So before we move on to some other questions, where can everyone find out more about you and your book?
Yeah, a bunch of places. So we send out signed copies from our own website, putnamflowers.com. So you can order signed copies from us there. Our publisher's website, Phaidon, you can get both copies of the book. I mean, then anywhere, Amazon, wherever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say our main portfolio is our main website, Putnam Flowers. Of course, we try and share everything that we're doing on Instagram. And I know this has been quite polarizing, but we have recently joined the world of TikTok. And TikTok it's the younger set for sure. I think some of our older clients don't quite understand what we're doing with TikTok and get a little confused. We love it because it's just a really silly way to just have fun with what we're doing and just create stuff too. Yeah. So we've recently joined TikTok, but our main spots are our main website, Putnam Flowers, and our Instagram.
Yeah.
Perfect. So everyone that's watching, I included the links in the chat and the comments. Again, Instagram, I love you guys, but I can't do that while I'm talking. So I will be posting all of those links over on our blog for the recap, and you guys will have all of that. So don't worry. I have a link to get the signed copy of the book, and I have also a link to get 20% off the flower color guide. And there's a discount code for you guys. So if you don't have this yet, definitely want to grab that. And and I love the size of them too. They're like,
okay. I'm so happy you brought up the size of the book because we have made these books this size for a reason. Because we had florists in mind. And we wanted a book that you could tab. So even these perforated cutouts, what we actually use them for quite often is as like little bookmarks. So we will tab out things that we want to get inspired by. We wanted a cover that could maybe get a little wet. We want this book on your work table, to stay inspired. That's why we kept it small so you could throw it in your bag, whatever. We've gotten a few review things that are like, this book is too small, it should be bigger, but we actually made this book the size for a reason.
We say that it's a tool.
Yeah.
You just throw in your tool bag, and when you go to meetings and or you go to the office, it's great, it's easy.
Yeah, it is easy and it's compact and also, the bigger books, they're beautiful and pretty too, but yeah, they're harder and clunkier to get around. So yeah, I think this is great.
We're shooting our big coffee table book actually right now. After Flower Color Theory during COVID, Phaidon, our publisher, gave us an opportunity to shoot a kid's book. So we shot a kid's book last summer, which is going to be so fun. It's coming out in the fall, and it kind of includes elements of, I don't know if you used to have the I Spy books when you were a little kid, where you
yes. My girls, I have 2 little girls too. Well, and they're not so little anymore, but yes, they love those Find It books. It kept them so busy.
So it's Rainbows in I actually keep forgetting the title.
It's called A Rainbow Blooms, and it's basically showing kids color and transition of color, but through the medium of flowers. So it's showing them that it's not just red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. It's so much more than that. So it talks about how color transitions through the rainbow. So it's these beautiful sort of ombre transitional spreads of florals. And then mixed into it are all these little elements like little bugs and animals and little things that you have to find that pull your eye through these transitional spreads. So it's like, it folds out pretty big. I'm excited about it.
It's a big book. It was so much fun to shoot. One of the really cool things about living in Los Angeles, we found this there's so many odd things that have to do with the movie industry here. And we found this little miniature store. It's like like, I don't know what it's for, like doll houses or
maybe
something.
I don't know.
But we got all these like little miniature things that we included into the floral spread. So it's like combinations of florals and fruit and little mini things. It's very, very cool. So that's going to be coming out in the fall.
I actually can't wait to use it. Even though it's a kid's book, I'm going to use it as, you know, my arsenal of things to show my students when I teach. We teach a lot, and I think it's just a great way to show how color moves in transitions.
Yes, and then right now we're actually shooting, we sold to Phaidon the big, beautiful coffee table book. So we promise everyone it's coming, but probably not for another year and a half.
Another year. Okay, so fall is the kids' book, which I'm so excited. And actually, I'm always looking for really great, unique gifts for my friends who have children. So I'll be signing up for that one for sure. And then the coffee table book will be out next year.
Yeah, the coffee table book is actually our how-to. It's going to be a masterclass in floristry. So we're going to show you how to make everything from boutonniere to a hanging piece to everything.
That's another thing. Like in flower color theory, obviously we're not showing you this step by step. It's really just kind of using color as the entry point to design. This book will be literally like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4.
Yeah. Okay.
So that'll be really helpful.
Very good. Very good to know. Okay, so I have another great question that came through from MZ Design & Co. They ask, do you find the younger generation on TikTok has a different take on palettes? Just curious because my 12-year-old lets me know when colors are cringy. And yes, that's a word that kids use these days, cringy.
TikTok is like the Wild West of social media. It is like, it's almost like, I think that specifically people who work in design, we're so used to trying to put out a very finished product into the world. So like when you go to our main page on Instagram, you really are just going to see like very polished imagery, like that kind of finished imagery. On Instagram stories, that's where we'll get a little more like behind the scenes. TikTok is almost like
you can be raw.
It's almost preferable to be like, to really see like the rawness, the grittiness. So honestly, we're not really focusing so much on like color. I think the TikToks that we have that perform the best are Mikey does these really incredible like stop motion videos with florals, which is like probably the nerdiest hobby
they're
you
so
have.
fun. I'll sit in the studio for like hours and hours and just make these like stop motion videos. They're my favorite.
We'll send you a link to one so you can reference it, but he'll kind of make flowers dance and stuff. So in those videos, he's really kind of paying attention to the color palettes. But then there's like videos of me dressed up as Catwoman. So it's kind of a whole range of things.
I love it. When you're dressed as Catwoman, I want to know, are you doing like the trending dance at the moment? Like, what do you do when you're dressed up as someone?
There's two Catwoman videos. So before COVID, we used to have like warehouse parties for just our friends at our warehouse in Brooklyn. We'd bring in a DJ, and they were always costume parties. So for Halloween one year, I was Catwoman. So there's a video from that. But then I actually did a video of Catwoman enjoying a Spindrift seltzer. So it's kind of, it's you have to watch it. It's kind of like a scripted TikTok, if you will.
But going back to the idea of younger generations on color, I think younger people are much more adventurous with color.
Yeah.
I think they just want color. They want saturated color. They want blocked out color.
Neons.
Like just vibes. People want to have fun.
And you see that in the market, right? So I know it's like, what's so interesting, I love seeing the tension sometimes between younger designers and old school designers of like deciding what's right and what's good. So like obviously in the markets now, there's so much more of this like dusted, pigmented, like light pinks and blues and stuff that's spray painted. And you can just tell that like the new generation they're very color forward, they're color adventurous. And I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's fun to always evolve and always change and always work on what you're putting out next. That's what makes what we do so fun. We're not just stuck in the same hole forever.
Yeah, and we have personally, like, we don't use a ton of like dyed and spray painted stuff, but we do really cool conceptual shoots that include elements of that. Or there's always ways to take inspiration from what's happening, for sure.
For sure. I love it. Okay, so while I'm scrolling through the Instagram, comments. I want you guys, I heard about your Putnam Flower channel. Can you share with us what that is all about? Because that seems like a really cool concept too that you guys have been really busy. That's all I know.
Okay, we've been really busy.
But before we talk about this, I just want to say that we love teaching and that it just in our lives in general, we have no secrets. Anybody can ask us anything. We will tell you exactly how we do it. We love putting it out there in the world. We love seeing people create stuff that's inspired by our teachings. So that was sort of the base concept of the Flower channel.
When we first started getting into events, we were both like 26, 27, and so many people in the industry, especially in New York, not only we were just the underdogs, but everyone just was like coming at us like, you can't handle this, you can't handle this. And we found that there was so much smoke and mirrors in the events industry where people put on these facades of like having this thing. And it's like, once you get behind this facade, you're like, that's what you're doing? That's not that hard. So I think like we're so transparent with everything we do because we really believe that it's just a matter of like delivering 110% and just like believing in what you do and doing the best possible job that you can do. And that's why we love teaching people. Our schedule has gotten much more limited with the ability to teach, specifically with shooting our books and our events and that kind of stuff. So the channel it started as this idea of how can we provide our tutorial videos to everyone in the industry, but we didn't want to go right to YouTube. So that's where the idea started, but then it kind of evolved into this whole platform. And there's some really cool features on it.
Yeah, I think my favorite feature is we worked with a company, I don't know, are they in Germany? I think they're based in Germany.
So the designer of this platform is a German designer, and you can feel it. It's like a nice German car. It's like got a little oomph to it.
Yes.
So we worked with this company, and we actually developed sort of a software. What would you call this?
It's flower Photoshop.
So basically, we took all the flowers from Flower Color Guide, the first book. Everything's cut out on white, and then we shot hundreds more flowers on top of that. And we created a rendering tool where you can upload a photo or use a photo that's already on there, any photo. So you can go to a venue, take a photo of the venue, upload it, and then you can literally make real life installations. So it's really, really easy and straightforward. You can create an installation where it's going to be using these flower photos and show your clients.
One thing that we have found, especially working in the top tier market, when you're producing these really big events, a lot of clients are so not visual. So it doesn't like, we can pull imagery that's like inspiration imagery, but like sometimes they like want to see installs, and it's like short of literally creating the install or like creating a sketch, we found it really challenging. So this was an amazing way to kind of do mock-ups, like floral installation mock-ups, to really show clients what they'll be getting. I mean, we found that this rendering tool doesn't completely replace the actual mock-up, where the client comes in and sees an example of the table centerpiece, but it's really helpful in pitching and selling the job to like whip up a little thing here and there.
No, it's really fun. I use it almost every single job. We use it to pitch ideas to clients. It's really easy. I think it's so cool. I mean, I used to spend hours rendering things out with watercolors just to show clients installations, and now I can do something in 15 minutes, do a full, like, realistic looking rendering in a space and show the client.
We're really trying to put up two new tutorial videos a month. It is a subscription website, so it's $20 a month. And that kind of gives you access to this archive of videos, and then also the rendering tool. There is a network on there where you can create your profile, you can like save the images you create, you can have a portfolio. Yeah. We think that's really cool. There was definitely a gap missing in the floral education market. For sure. Like, of course, there's botanical garden programs, which are amazing. And, there's like florists will have like little, and we'll do flower classes here and there for sure. But we thought that there was really a missing kind of floral education hub. So we thought we'd just make it.
Yeah. And we're trying to bring other people on that can also teach. So it's not just us teaching, people that specialize in a certain type of aesthetic. We're bringing them on to also show how to make
guest artist appearances.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Yes. It looks like amazing, and it is affordable. And the rendering tool that you guys were describing definitely caught my eye, because I was like, That's really cool. Like, I feel like that will be really helpful to a lot of people. And to your point where people aren't visual, I mean, I run into that in my ends of things too. I mean, we mock up everything. Even if we think someone's going to get what we're talking about, we mock it up. And because it helps communicate better and makes sure everyone's on the same page. So guys, it's such a cool tool. Definitely check it out.
So there's no surprises.
No surprises.
Exactly. So I had some questions come in from just recently, and I have some older questions because I don't know if you guys remember, but we were going to talk about your new book on Mornings with Mayesh when the first one came out. I think you guys had some family things happen or whatever. So I still saved those questions from way back when too.
Archive.
Okay. So, I'm going to start with a few of the new ones. So Botanical Jen wants to know, do you all forage like everyone else? Do you go stomping around the woods?
No, I'm just kidding. When we first started out and we were really poor, yeah, we would totally, because here's the thing, we always wanted to make a huge impression. So even if we were being hired for a really small, intimate dinner, okay, we knew what the budget was for flowers, but yeah, in that case, we totally would go out and forage things. I mean, now it's not.
We still do sometimes.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a forage branch, right? Like it just has this sort of haunting, beautiful, natural, organic thing that you can add to arrangement. So we love doing it, but it's really hard to do in New York City.
Well,
like
and also I'll say that now we forage more for like a portfolio shoot. So like literally the other day around the corner in West Hollywood, Mikey found this like giant pile of palm nuts that were cut down from a palm tree, and he like scooped them all up, and we made this like really cool composition. I think we're at a point where we don't forage for events anymore, just because like we need to get everything in such bulk quantity. But we absolutely still do it for little things. My only advice is I felt like when we first started, there was a lot of pressure to forage. Do what you have time for and that you feel comfortable with, because like it takes a lot of time to go out into the woods and scrape down things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, it does.
Yeah. But we definitely do to some point, to some extent.
Yeah.
Yes, very good. Yeah, and it probably is much easier now that you're in LA and not New York City. You can just drive a little bit and find somewhere fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Gilberto, he wants to know, are you planning another workshop soon? As I mentioned earlier, he missed the one that he was going to, and so he's anxious for another workshop.
As of right now, no. We don't have anything planned, just because all of our events from last year were pushed off to this year, and now we're just starting in June. We're just like crazy off.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, and thank God, we are so thankful for our events and event income. But of course, because of COVID, all those weddings that were supposed to take place had to be rescheduled. And then of course we have new ones coming in. So schedule permitting.
But they always pop up randomly. Sometimes we're just like, you know what, we want to teach workshops. Yeah.
Definitely stay tuned on social media, and we might have a rogue workshop coming up here and there for sure. But as of right now, there's nothing on the books, but that could change.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so Noonan Designs wants to know, when's the next podcast coming? So I know you guys used to have a podcast called Unicorns Do Exist. I tried finding it, but I couldn't get any of the episodes to play. So are you guys... I feel like voice is such a big thing now. Have you guys considered maybe resurrecting that or doing anything with that, or you just don't have time right now? Because that is, again, a lot of work.
The podcast was my little baby. I was obsessed with that podcast. The podcast is no longer available. All I can say is stay tuned. That's all I'm going to say. It is the podcast has evolved into something else that is going to be happening soon. But just stay tuned. That's all. That's all I can say. But it'll be much more exciting, and there's more to come. But it was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very good. Love it. All right. So one of my older questions came in from Wesley. He wants to know, becoming one of the most successful floral companies in New York is so impressive. How did you get a leg up on your competition? When you started, where did you find the majority of your sales from? For example, photo shoots, advertisements, referrals, etc. That's his question.
I'm going to start off with saying one thing, and then you can say something. forget the competition. Just like let that go. I think like, especially when we moved to LA, I think a lot of people were like, why are the Putnams in LA? But it's like, just forget about the competition and just focus on yourself and what you're doing. We had to build our company from the ground up. We had no financial support. We literally built this ourselves. And we started by doing little events for friends. You know, a friend got married at City Hall, someone did a tiny dinner, and then, yes, we did a little photo shoot, and it all kind of snowballed. I think that what has set us apart is that we always deliver 110%. So even when we were doing these like little things that seemed totally insignificant, we really make sure we communicate with the client and we really deliver so they have nothing but good things to say.
When you're starting out, you have to go a little above and beyond. And it's just sort of an investment into your brand and into your company and what you do. But like Darroch said, forget the competition, don't focus on that, because that's just gonna waste so much of your time and give you so much anxiety.
It's really just giving yourself personal anxiety. I think a lot of people get so caught up on like their aesthetic and like what other people are doing and, oh my God, that person's copying me and any of that stuff. I mean, it's the same in any industry. If you work in fashion, if you work in food, it's like, that's just human nature.
Yeah.
And we have totally struggled with that throughout the years, but we have found a lot of inner peace from just kind of focusing on your own journey and what you're doing and really always trying to put your best foot forward and make a good impression.
Yeah, and also it's so beautiful, this cross-pollination of design, you know, from all these incredible, I mean, the floral industry right now is wild. Like there are so many incredible designers out there in the world right now. And it's so fun to just see what people are creating and to talk to these people and collaborate with, you know, it's just fun. Like just, forget the competition. That'll help.
Yeah. Such great advice. I love that. And that's my advice for my team too. Cause you know, we worry about that. Everyone worries about that. So, I like that. Speaking of amazing designers, do you guys have any kind of favorites that you see? You're seeing all these people are coming up and coming and people that are inspiring. Do you one that's kind of on your radar right now you want to give a shout out to?
We love Maurice Lumen Plume. We actually haven't met him yet, which is crazy, but it was really funny. So on the Beyonce video, he actually, at that time we were just based in New York, and he did the portions of the video that were shot in LA, and they were so stunning and beautiful. We love the new show he's on, In Full Bloom on HBO. We check that out. He's doing such a cool job on that. So we think he's totally kind of pushing the envelope for sure.
Also, Glow Flow in LA. She's worked with us over the years. She's incredible. She's kind of doing her thing right now, and she's creating a new, like her own style for herself. And she's fun. We
love Emily Thompson in New York, who just like has like a wicked imagination. I think if there is a foraging queen that understands foraging, it is Emily Thompson. She blows my mind with what she creates out of just such whimsical, interesting creations of textures and branches and everything. So she's probably my New York favorite for sure.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right. So another question came in from Sarah. She asks, what was the turning point in your business when you felt like you made it in the industry?
Oh God, I remember this.
I was gonna say like next week. I was like, I still don't think we
You guys have definitely have made it.
but there was definitely a point when I decided to do this full time, because I was still working and I was still going to school when I started this, and I just decided to sort of drop all of that and just focus on flowers. And it was just this moment when, I don't even know how long I was doing it for, but Mika Tenhap, she used to be one of the editors at Vogue. And I remember she emailed me and she's like, hello from Vogue. We'd love for you to do this like little editorial thing with us. And that's when I was like, this is real. Like people are noticing, like they noticed, like, let's just run with it. That's when you also, like, we both just decided to just go full steam with this industry.
Yeah, I know for me, I think, or for us, the sky is the limit. Like, we just have our sights set on just, like, we always have new dreams. You know, our first dream was to publish a book, then I was to publish a second book, then I was to do this, then I was to do that. And I think, like, to keep yourself inspired, you have to keep moving forward. So, yeah, I don't know. I got a lot of like, we work in the fashion industry a lot, and some really solid advice that we've gotten is like, the second that you're too like good for anything, or that like, you know, you're better, that's when you start to kind of titter out and fade a little bit. You always want to just keep pushing yourself to just like to keep perfecting your own work. I mean,
you're only as good as your last project.
For sure.
You
For
know?
sure.
Yeah. That's great. All right. So she had a couple other questions too. She wants to ask, what were the steps that you took to get there where you felt worked and would recommend to someone just starting out? She wants to know what you felt worked to get you to making it, and what you would recommend to someone that's just starting out in the business.
Okay. You're just starting out in the business. Don't be like, okay. Where we see where people really struggle where they're starting out is like, oh, you know, they want to learn to do something. Oh, but I don't do that, or I don't do that. If you're just starting out and you want to learn from the best, offer to intern, offer to pick up a broom, offer to show up and lug some stuff. Just getting insight into what people are doing and seeing how they're doing it is the most like valuable information that you could probably get. And you have to take chances. You know, you have to like, let's say someone asks you to do something and you're like, oh, inside you're like, oh my God, I'm not ready to do that. Do it. And just like, and make it happen, and like figure out how to do it. And like, I don't know, I think it's all about this like self-learning process of like how you can push yourself.
Remember, designing in the creative part of this is only like 50% of this industry, if that. The rest of it is logistics, making an impression, getting in there, working hard, like making it happen and bringing your dream to life. But it's difficult and it's challenging. Another thing that I would say is to play.
Yeah.
Something that I did when I first started. I just played. It wasn't for anybody.
You still do that.
And I still do. But you just do it just for yourself. You're not doing it for somebody else. And you start to develop something that feels good and comfortable and exciting for you.
Yeah. You have to realize that sometimes what you're providing for the client is one thing. The client is always correct. They're paying you.
Right.
You know, sometimes there's situations where you're like, well, I mean, trust me, and we know when there's a client that like literally doesn't get our style at all, we're like, this probably isn't a good fit. But like, there are certain things that we do for ourselves creatively that our clients wouldn't want to see in an event, but it's so important to do those things for yourself because they just make you feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Then she also wants to know, when you were growing your business and things that you did then, is there anything that you would look back and consider it was like a waste of time or money or energy? Things that you would not do.
You can't have any regrets.
We had no regrets. Very early on when we were doing weddings, we had this was like when we were doing weddings under like $10,000. We had one scenario where a client was very, very particular, but in a very cuckoo banana way. And we didn't like, you really have to get a gut reaction of your client and like kind of think ahead. We just had one event where I think the design that we delivered didn't translate into like the client's vision. And like, to say they ripped us a new one, I mean, they literally cut our heads off and like kicked them like footballs down the way. And that was in our first year of business. And from that moment on, we're like, we are never letting that happen again.
You can't be afraid to make mistakes, and you have to learn from them. Like if that didn't happen, it probably would have happened at some point. So just don't ever feel bad for making mistakes, because you will always learn from them and you'll always grow. I think it's important.
Yeah.
I think it's just important to take chances and just do anything that you feel like you should do.
Right. Very good. Such great advice, guys. So I have another question from Ashley. And you kind of touched a little bit about this, but she takes it in a little bit of a different direction. So let me just read what she wrote. She says, as someone who is in her first year of business, I'd love to know how you began to build your networks and clients in such a large, intimidating city as New York. I'm different from most floral designers in that I want to focus largely on film, fashion, and brand editorial work. Any tips on how to get started in the creative industry in a new city?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of also like life 101. So we moved to New York City in 2010, and I was starting at working as a fashion photographer. I mean, we moved to New York with no connections, no friends, nothing, and we had to build it up from the ground. And that took about 5 years. You know, it took a while to really get to meet people, get to know people. I think that Mikey and I are very outgoing people. We're not like necessarily the most social people. Like we don't necessarily like fill our social calendar with tons of stuff, but no matter who we interact with, we really try and be like, you know, engaging. And I think that just you want to invite people to the party, right? So it's like whatever you're doing, you want people to have a part of it. So start small, start with your friends, start doing cool things with your friends, and you slowly kind of meet people and expand the network that way. You can always reach out to people. Sure, you won't be able to reach out to top tier magazines, but maybe a cool online magazine, or you know, smaller. Like you got to start small to get big.
And
for sure.
Don't be afraid to assist. It doesn't mean that you're low or below anything. There will always be people in your industry that have been doing it for longer that know more than you do, and there's nothing wrong with that. So don't be afraid to just email somebody and be like, hey, if you have some upcoming projects, I'd love to lend you a hand. You know, I can lug buckets. I can help you build this thing out. I can help you process flowers. Like that's good. And then you go into those situations, you make an impression, you stay really kind and really positive, and you work hard. And then you know what? When that person doesn't want to take on a job, they're going to refer that job to you. And they're going to say, hey, I know this person who's actually really great. And because you made that impression, they're going to be like, you should hire them. Like, it's just so important to do that.
Yes. Yes, totally agree. I love it. Let's see. I have a question from Trish about the books that just came in. She said, this is great, lots of resources and concepts. Do the books identify long-lasting flowers?
We don't really break that down. We have some processing tips on how to make flowers last longer, but it doesn't really talk about which flowers last the longest. We don't really touch on that.
We always, for Flower Color Guide, we really tried to have a range of florals. So we have very common things that you can find, you know, in grocery stores, farmers markets. And then of course we have those very aspirational flowers, those gorgeous cafe au lait dahlias, this peony, this imported sweet peas, that kind of stuff. So it's really a wide range. We always get so many questions about longevity of flowers, and that really comes down to you working with the material and kind of learning about it. Of course, tropicals are going to last long. Very standard roses are going to last long. Those kind of hardy things.
But also, it's really, we touch base on local and sustainable concepts in the first book. Actually, in the second book too. But if you buy local and your flowers aren't being shipped, of course they're going to last longer if they're just cut from, you know, or if they're in season. I think that's something to really focus on. Like lilac that's imported is not going to last as long as beautiful lilac at the farmer's market in your town. Like those are just things that you have to think about.
That was it's a layered question with layered answers.
There's like so much you can do.
But it's a good idea.
Yeah, it is a good idea. And Trish, just so you know, I mean, obviously your sales reps that you're working with to buy flowers from are really great resources. We also create a bunch of different guides. We have one that's called Reliable Products for Large Scale Design. Sue McCleary provided a list for us for just based off of her experience. So I'm just going to put a link for that, and you can check out all of our other guides that are there as well. Maybe that will be helpful for you. But I agree. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Though. It's just really working with it. It's also the processing piece of it, like making sure that the flowers are processed properly, so that way they're lasting as long as they possibly can. But just trial and error and learning, I think is good.
Processing. Thank you for bringing that up. You have to process your flowers correctly. You have to.
And we go over all of that in both of our books on the best way to process woody stems, how to process soft stems, how to make things open up a little faster if you need them to. Like, there's so many little tricks that you can do.
Longevity of flowers comes down to water. It's hydration and avoiding bacteria growth. So if you're not processing flowers correctly from the beginning, then they're not being properly hydrated and there's bacteria growth happening. So that was an excellent point to bring up. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Okay, so I think we have time to squeeze in one other question. And we're gonna do, this is the Bussy Sitter Club. That's an interesting name. Okay, so she's up on Instagram. She said, is there a color palette you wished was more popular or less popular? We'll bring it back to color again.
Less popular, white, green for weddings. Let's get more adventurous.
Yeah, and I always say that my dream situation is for a bride to come to me and say, I want red everywhere. Red is my favorite color, and it is so underused, and I just want that. I just want that so bad. I just want to do an all crazy red vermilion and just this wild red saturated.
Right, but you know, that's the main focus of Flower Color Theory. We really wanted to put out such a variety of different color palettes. So maybe you're not the most adventurous of color, but you can dip a toe and here and there.
And there are all white arrangements in here.
For
There's
sure.
white, blush, and peach. Like that's in here too. But there's also all red arrangements. There's arrangements that are all like dark aubergines and black and plum. So we really wanted to cover every color palette that you could really think of.
Perfect. I love it. Again, guys, let me just switch it around so you can see the book, Flower Color Theory. Amazing. Just so good.
The book is flat lay binding, so when you get it, just don't be afraid to press it open so that steam kind of goes away.
Good advice. Thank you for that tip. Anything else that you guys want to share before we wrap up today? And you know, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah,
just stay inspired, keep creating. And don't take yourself too seriously.
Don't.
I got that advice from RuPaul. Never take yourself too seriously. Just have fun with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Lovely, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today, sharing all of your amazing things that you have, what you've been working on. You're such an inspiration for our industry. I just really, really appreciate this opportunity to talk with you guys and give our audience a chance to connect with you guys too. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Let's do it again with the kids book in the fall. We'll chat again.
For sure. And maybe we can do it when my little one would probably love to be on, and like she could be a little test subject for you guys.
For us.
So fun. Thank you. Guys, that is a wrap on Mornings with Mayesh. As a reminder, I'll be giving away a few copies of A Flower Color Theory. If selected, I will be DMing you for your shipping information. And again, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I really, really appreciate it. I will be back next month with our third Mayesh Design Star. Want to know, who do you guys think it'll be? We'll see, right? Woo-woo. All right, we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.